All right, tonight's subject of the month is general. General Lee, General Grant, General Sherman, I'm not sure which general, but it's general. Tonight's judge is Mr. Dean Huggins, and I don't know if he needs to be introduced to anybody or not. Famous Sony shooter, flower guy, kaleidoscope. So,
I'll get started now.
I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Dean Huggins and let him go at your images.
Good evening, everyone. So, there were a couple of images that were put in tonight that were submitted for judging that I'm not giving any score to them, and I'll explain that when I get to them as to why I didn't give a score to them.
24.
Okay. Of all the images that were submitted, I think there was 34, I actually spent the most time on this one because I was trying to figure out, first of all, don't be offended by what I say. Sometimes I'm very direct to the point, as Danette and a few others know. But
Yes.
We like that.
I still haven't figured out exactly what you had in mind when you took this image, whoever you are. I tried to figure out the subject, and I never really did. It's an architectural image. It looked to me like in the beginning, but then when I saw this, I had to wonder if it was really an architectural attempt at an architectural image. So I was a little confused on that. And the image does suffer from some softness in it, if you look here closely. So after looking at it and looking at it and looking at it, I determined that I was going to give this a score of on the composition a 2, and the impact a 2, and the technical a 2. I scored it low like that for the reasons of I couldn't figure out if this was a subject or if this was a subject. I really didn't have any leading lines taking me to this, if that's the subject. There was a lot of interest down here that's cut off. If you wanted me to, I'm not sure what you're trying to convey here. So a 2-2-2.
24 by David Powers, a total of 6 points. Bridge over troubled waters.
Unfortunately, I just saw this image in the member showcase, so now I know whose image it is. So
Shouldn't do that.
I would discourage people from putting the same image that you're putting in for judging into the member showcase. If we had the member showcase afterwards, that would be okay. But fortunately, I already scored it beforehand, so that's probably a good thing. This image has a wonderful leading line with the bridge taking me into the city here. And I love the elevated horizon here, which gives me a good view of everything going on down here. And I also like that what this image does for me is it takes me into here and then back here to look. So I have a bit of a spiral here for that. I scored a composition 4, impact 5, and technical 4 on this image.
Bridge over troubled waters by Danette Taylor, total of 13 points.
Very good.
Cleared for landing.
Okay, cleared for landing. You really caught the eye here. On animal and people pictures, this is what you want sharp, right here. And the catch light in the eye, awesome, perfect. It's good, it's sharp. The only possible, I love the composition, how it's framed here. I see the whole bird. I love the wing, how it fades into the backgrounds here and the colors. It's just a beautiful image. Would like to see this right here, tiny bit sharper. So maybe if you shot this at f 2.8 or 3.5, perhaps get your f-stop, your aperture open a little bit more, or close down a little bit more, I'm sorry. so we could get just a little bit more depth of field in there. So for cleared for landing, I got a composition 5, impact 4, and technical a 4.
Cleared for landing by Dennis Esip, total of 13 points.
Good job, Dennis.
Cloud side.
Okay. On the left side of this image, again, the title, I'm not sure matches the subject matter of the image. I'm not sure what the cloud side actually meant, so I was a little confused by that. And as far as this architecture goes, this line here needed to be a little bit straighter on this left side to match this. That would be pretty easy to fix in Photoshop. I'm not sure what this is here. Maybe this is, I don't know, I never did figure it out. I guess it's a roof of something, which makes me want to see what's down here. I'm getting the top here, but I'm not seeing what's underneath. I don't know if this is a bridge or if it's a building or what it is. And the other difficulty I had with this image was right here in this cloud. You have, this looks like maybe an HDR image that went south on you. You need to pay attention to what's going on in all parts of your image. It's easy to miss stuff sometimes. And this is just a tad bit close here at the top. This one was called Cloud Side. I gave it a composition of 2, impact of 3, and technical of 2.
Cloud side by David Powers, total of 7 points. Daisy Standouts.
Thank you for making this image black and white. I love the idea of what you're going for here. It's a great choice for black and white. When you're shooting flowers and any object that is especially a macro type image, it's best to choose odd groupings for balance, and I found an odd grouping here of 1, 2, and 3. Because all the rest of them, I don't see the middle part of the flower. That one's cut off enough it doesn't count. So these 3 guys here turn out to be the subject, okay? So my next question is, are all 3 of these in focus? And they are not. So the exposure on this was really good. Great focus on the one flower, which was this one right here. It was beautiful sharpness in there. It was excellent, but it falls off in the rest of the image. So I gave it a composition of 5. I thought you set this up very nicely. I shoot thousands of flower images myself, and sometimes you get lost, you know, the forest for the trees thing. You know, sometimes you just you look at so many flower images, and after a while you just got to shake your head and walk away. Come back another day and say, okay, I'm going to open it up again, look again. So shooting groups of flowers like this, I have found, can be difficult, and I think you got the right idea here. Just a couple little improvements would make it really good. Composition 5, impact 3, technical 2.
Daisy Standouts by Jennifer Nelson, total of 10 points. Dark Reflections, name removed, judged.
All right, need I say anything about that title? I don't know who shot the image, but I love the abstract idea here of what you did. I love this kind of image. As many of you know, I really like the artsy side of what I can do with photography, and this abstract approaches that artsy kind of side. Dark Reflections, it's called. There's a little oops up here in this corner. There's some kind of light reflection or something up here. I don't know what that is. And there's a little squiggly line through here, and I don't know if that belongs there, but I know that for sure does not. So you need to pay close attention. You need to look over your whole image and not get lost on one thing in it, but you need to look over your whole image to make sure that you don't miss these little details like that. You know, that stuff like this, you guys, doesn't matter to the general public, but when you're in a photo club and you're submitting images in front of a bunch of other photographers, now it matters. So sometimes you might think that, well, you judges will get pretty picayune about stuff. Well, that's because I'm in a room full of photographers, you know? And we critique each other's work, hopefully to make us better. So I gave that dark reflections composition of 5, impact of 4, technical of 3.
Dark Reflection by Rebecca Tiff, total of 12 points. Down by the River.
Okay, down by the river. I don't know where this is at, but I don't think it's in Spokane. Looks like a jungle, maybe the Amazon or someplace like that. Somebody can tell me afterwards. But I like the idea of what you did here in this image. I like where you place the boats in this part of the image, and I like the angle at which the boats go off into the image. What I would say about this image is that always ask yourself this question, especially when you're shooting images of landscapes and outdoor stuff. This sky up here. Is this amount of sky up here, is it adding to the image? And in this case, I think it is not. And my opinion is that this top portion of the sky should be cropped out. And the other thing that I would love to see in this image, sometimes I wish that they would send me the raw files of these images so I could play with them. And I wouldn't show you what I do, but I'd love to play with your images to see what I could do. Once in a while I do that with people. They say, I don't know what to do with this image. I say, send it to me. I send it back to them. They go, how in the world did you do that? This doesn't even look like the same image. Pump up the color a little bit in this thing. That's my opinion. I think we could do some saturation here, maybe some vibrance. Not too much, but I'd like to see more color. I know there's some hidden color in here, I'm pretty sure. And the other thing that we could do on this image, hopefully when you were here, you shot more than one image. I think this is the biggest mistake that a lot of us as photographers make. When we are on site someplace that we're never going to be again, or never going to get that same image, why aren't you shooting 50 or 100 images of this? If this was worth taking a photo of, why did you not take 50 or 100 images from every angle that you can conceive of, get close, get far away, wide angle lens, everything that you can think of, because you're only going to be here once. And the image number 32 might be an award-winning image or could make you thousands of dollars because you took the time to do different depths of field, different exposures, et cetera, et cetera. You did HDR, you bracketed, you shot the world out of that thing. Get closer. I want to see detail. I would love to see the detail in this wood on these boats. It's a little bit too far away for me to catch all that detail. With that being said, I gave a composition of 4, impact of 4, and technical of 4.
Down by the River, Evelyn Jorgensen, total of 12 points. Early Morning, Auke Lake. I hope that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't know about the pronunciation. I kind of struggle with that myself. I probably could have looked it up on Google. Okay, this is out of all the 30-some images that were submitted, this is one I took the second most time looking at this particular image. The whole left side of this image just leaves me kind of lacking. I like that you used the dock to pull my attention to these mountains back here, which begs the question of why did you include this over here? I can understand this because you didn't really have much of a choice. This is a tough image to make. I have shot thousands and tens of thousands of landscape images. You've got nice leading lines with these mountains pointing towards the middle of your image, but you're flat over here. So this image makes me want to lean every time I look at it. But other than that, this image is in great focus. It has wonderful depth of field. You caught the reflections beautifully in the lake. The shadows are not, the details are not buried in the shadows. We don't have any blown out snow or anything. Overall, this is a really nice image. Just that left side thing over there, you can't grow trees there. So maybe some different angles would be in order for this. Maybe shoot it in a vertical instead of a horizontal. Composition 4, impact 4, technical 5.
Early morning Auke Lake by Becky Nelson, total of 13 points. Fantasy Tulips.
5, 5, 5. 15. I don't know if I need to say any more. This image reaches out, grabs me, pulls me in, and makes me want to be laying there in those tulips looking up the sky. I don't know if I need to say anything more about it. That's it.
Fantasy Tulips by D. Cloyd, 15 points.
Oh, I'm going to rescind my...
Fish Creek Pond.
Okay. 5, 5, 5. This image, I didn't have to look at this very long before I just went, wow, I'm jealous. I don't know if I need to say too much about it. You've got your horizon line up here. You got the rocks here in the foreground. Everything's in focus. I can see details under the water. I don't have any bad reflections coming off here. I got details in the shadows. I got detail in the clouds. Nothing's overexposed. This is a beautiful image. What can I say? 15. Good job.
Fish Creek Pond by Becky Nelson, 15 points. Flipping Soul.
Okay, so when I first looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, he's doing a backflip. And of course, I have to judge the image. And, you know, incidentally, you guys, I like all the images that I saw that you guys submitted. Regardless of the judging scores, I had fun looking at your images. We got a lot of talent here, and I really appreciate it. One of the things about this image that I would do is this area in here where this band is playing, this is your supporting cast for what this guy is doing. And to me, everybody in here is the subject, these people, not just the guy doing the flip. And I love his shadow. I caught the shadow in the ground. But I would dodge this area in here with these people in it. It's just a little bit, this is a hard image. Get a lot of contrast here. This is bright sunlight in the street, and these guys look like, to me, they're standing in the shadows. And we talked about that earlier about HDR, and you can't do an HDR, a true HDR with this image, but you could do a faux HDR with this image. So I would dodge the band. I would burn the street down a little bit. These are old terms that we use. In other words, I'd bring the exposure in the street down and the exposure with the band up so that they more evenly match each other. So we have a nice tonal range across the image when I look up and down and left to right. I don't want something in the image blown out and the other thing, something else suffering from it. You can do this in Photoshop. You can make that happen. And also, I'd like to see the color punched up in this one too. Please don't be afraid to use that saturation slider. I know that out there in the world of photography and the magazines and everything, they pick on saturation and they pick on vibrance all the time. But you know what? You only go through life once. Let's make it as colorful as we can. You know? I love black and white, but I also love color too. So in this image, I gave it a composition of 4 and an impact of 3 and a technical of 4.
Flipping Soul by Rich Simler. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yes.
Total of 11 points.
good catch with that guy doing the flip, by the way. Your shutter speed was like,
Yeah.
nailed it.
On the money.
Yep, nailed it. Okay,
Falling mist, 2.
that's what it says. Okay, everything in this image is awesome, except for the one thing that I might do here. I love this image. I love this tree back here. I have some detail in the clouds. This flow and stuff here, this is just awesome. I love that. But I'm missing the top of the tree here. And I'm wondering if how tall it is. Is it too tall that we couldn't get it in the image? That was probably the only thing that I could see about this image that I might improve, is to shoot it in vertical as well as horizontal. Zoom back out so that you can catch more of the image. Hopefully, while you were here, you did what I suggested and you shot 25, 30 images of this. Because like I said, when you find something like this, with beautiful mist coming off of it and stuff like this, and the lighting the way it is, dude, shoot, burn your card up, man. Get the images on there. And later you will not be disappointed, because you'll look at like one like this, you take one image of this, what if this tree was soft and you moved? You're like, holy cow, now I got to drive 4,000 miles to get back to that location and shoot that again, and it's never going to be just like this, because I didn't shoot enough images, because I only shot one. So, take some more cards with you and burn them up. When you go on vacation for 2 weeks, you should come back. If you're shooting and you're going on a shooting vacation like I do, if you come back with less than 1,000 images, I'm going to be disappointed in you. You better be shooting the rocks off of everything and just knocking it out. You got time to sit at home after your vacation for days and go through your images and just say, okay, these go, these go, these go, these go. Keep the good ones. So anyway, hopefully, if you have an image, this image with the tops of the trees in it, I want to see it. Send it to me. Anyway, let's see, what was the name of this one? It was Flowing Mist. Flowing Mist, composition 4, impact 5, technical 5.
Flowing Mist by Maya Kelly, total of 14 points. Glitter in the Air.
I also saw this one in the member showcase, but just at a different angle. So I immediately knew who shot this image, and
Yes, but you've already scored it.
I have. It's a little soft. My notes I put on here that were a little soft on these little bugs here. I love these highlights in here. I did that, and the focus here is really sharp on this glass lid and this jar, but a little soft on the bugs here. I love the placement of this, and the idea behind it was very cool. I like to do stuff like this myself. So with that being said, I gave it a composition of 5, impact 3, and technical 3.
Glitter in the Air, Danette Taylor, 11 points. Gulf Coast Dreaming.
Okay. On this image, the only thing negative that I could say about this image, if I was going to have to say something negative, would be that my flashlight's going out on me here. Maybe get closer, but mostly wait for the background to change. This has got a very busy background. It may be that you were in a location that you could not move or do anything about it. That might be fine. If that's the case, get some software that'll help blur out some of the details that are in the background that are distracting. She is the subject. Period. No question about it. We could crop this a little. Wouldn't hurt. Maybe even crop that guy out. She's the subject. Gulf Coast Dreaming, I gave that a composition of 4. I gave it an impact of 5 and a technical of 5. It's in focus, looks really good.
Gulf Coast Dreaming by Rich Simler, total of 14 points. Hillside Chapel.
I love images like this. I looked at it for a little bit, and I was wondering how we might possibly improve the image. And what I came up with is that, number one, there's a halo in this tree. You can fix halos. So I'm going to assume, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to assume this was an HDR image, that you shot 3 or more images and used an HDR program, and that's why we have this leftover halo in the tree. I'd like to see the church in the upper third instead of the lower third of the image, so that the church has the feeling of being kind of above it all and looking down into the valley instead of the feeling of it looking up so much. I'd like to see that in the upper third. Other than that, I think this was a great image, and I gave it a composition of 4, impact of 5, and technical of 4.
Hillside Chapel by Chris Heitzman, total of 13 points. I Have the Last Laugh, name removed.
This is a very expressive image, very emotional, a little too centered for my liking. I'd like to have seen a little bit more space in front of her. I believe that's a woman, I think, pretty sure it is, to the left. A little soft on the mouth area right here. It appears that, it's hard to tell on some of these, it appears like the eye is pretty well in focus, which is the right thing to do, but again, the choice of depth of field here, we have to learn the depth of field sometimes by feel, because you don't have a lot of time to shoot some of these things. So wedding photographers have to be very cognizant of what their f-stop is at. If they're at f8, f22, f2.8, it's going to make a huge difference in their wedding pictures. So this is no different than a wedding picture, because this is a person, and wedding pictures have people in them. And the reason that wedding photographers are so picky about that is because they want to see that person's face. We want to see all the expression. We don't want distractions like things that might be blurry in the image. So that was that, and a little too close to the edge, but very expressive and emotional. Very cool image. Composition 4, impact 4, and technical 4.
I Have the Last Laugh by Don Burnell, total of 12 points. To the Woods, at 80 by 724.
Yeah. Okay. I looked at this image for a little while. I play around a lot with textures, and personally for me, I'm wondering about the texture choice that was used on this image, if it was the right choice or not. Some of you might say, I don't have a problem with it. Some of you might think it's great, and others of you might agree with me that it may not be the right choice. This tree to me becomes the subject because of how big it is, and it's placed in one of the thirds of the image, and so it just pops out there and hits me in the face. And when it does that, that would be okay if there was something to it, maybe some cool branches or some heavy snow hanging off of it, but it's also got this piece of metal and it's stamped in the bark. That one click in Photoshop gets rid of that. So maybe recompose, maybe just this area. I don't know why you included this big chunk of tree in your foreground, but that would be something that I would change to make an improvement on it. So I got composition 3, impact 3, and technical 4.
Into the Woods by Cindy Macion, total of 10 points. And I'm not going to say the bits anymore, you guys get the idea. Lady of Peru.
Okay. This image, love the colors in this image. Thank you for keeping that saturation up there. A couple of things in here to be aware of when you're using flash. Be aware of what happens here in the background. You see that shadow back there? That, to me as a photographer, is a little distracting. And we're a little soft, it looks like, around the eyes and the face on the focus. So I've got composition 5, impact 3, and technical 2.
Lady of Peru by Don Burnell, total of 10 points. Lewiston Hill Fog.
Before I even saw the name, when I looked at this, I went, oh, I'll bet you that's Lewiston. And I looked at the name, it's like, yep, sure enough. I've shot a lot of images from here, and you can get some really cool stuff from up here on the hill. And how many of you have traveled that road that goes down the old Lewiston Road? How many of you have been on that? If you haven't, you got to go on that. It's really cool. There's some very interesting and awesome spots to stop. The thing goes like a snake down the mountain. I mean, it literally does, like a snake. It's a fun little drive. There's lots of places to turn off, take pictures. Wild daisies and other things grow beside the road. It's a really cool little road to go down instead of the interstate. Anyway, with that being said, the foreground on this is something happened here. I don't know. It's a little soft, or something's going on here that maybe the wind was, I don't know what's going on here. But there's a softness to this that I don't think should be in there. With a faster shutter speed, you can stop any action. I know the wind blows up here a lot. So when I shoot here, I have to be aware of that, because half the time the flowers are going like this all over the place. And you got to wait for the wind to stop, maybe, get a high shutter speed, and then shoot. But I like what your lines are doing here. I kind of fall immediately. I don't know about you, but the first thing I did was go, ooh, saw the road here, and then I went over here and saw this cloud. And the sky is beautiful. I like where the horizon line is placed. It's got a spiral. I love the saturation on the image. So I gave it a composition of 5, an impact of 5, and technical of 3.
Lewiston Hill Fog by David Jensen, total of 13 points. Madagascar Green.
Okay, so this little lizard. Is soft. When I looked at it, maybe I'm getting soft, but when I looked at it, this right here, his eye was just a little soft, right there. And again, shooting animals and critters, please extend your depth of field and crank up that ISO if you have to. It's better to get an image that you capture everything like that and have a little noise in it than it is for it to be soft or to have too narrow of a depth of field and miss something important in the image. You probably don't, I don't know if this is your pet lizard and you put him there on that leaf, but there's something underneath him that I don't know. At first I thought he puked up some kind of bug. And no, seriously, that's what I thought. And I still haven't figured out what in the world is that? Is that part of a squid, or what is this underneath him? To me, it was a distraction, okay? And with some of these images, we want to eliminate distractions so that people's focus is not on that. I've seen, like you have probably, thousands of images of chameleons and geckos and lizards and Gila monsters that are tack sharp all the way through, have no distractions in them, have all kinds of angles and everything. If you're going to compete with other photographers with your images like this, then you're going to have to get this whole image sharp, because it's really obvious. Let me get this laser. This is, you can see this is soft. This is out of focus. There's no question about it, okay? And when I looked at this on my monitor, it just, well, I think you could improve the image. Let's just say that. I wish that I could shoot some of these little critter guys. I think I'm going to have to go to Costa Rica or someplace to find them, though. I don't know where to find all these little guys. Madagascar, apparently. If you were really in Madagascar, tell me afterwards. I want to know what it's like there. So we could crop this image maybe on the top, and also get down more into our subject. And as they say, especially in macro photography or images like this, get closer, get closer, get closer. Composition 4, impact 4, technical 3.
Madagascar Green by Patty Hoy, total of 11 points. Mysterious Rock Lake.
Okay. On this image, I looked at it for a little while, and I like what the photographer was trying to do here. There's a couple things in here that I think could help maybe improve the image a little bit, like more details in the clouds perhaps up here. We should be able to bring out more detail. It's a known fact now that you should, if you're going to shoot landscape and other images, it's known that if you overexpose a little bit, that's better than underexposing, because there's more detail caught by the camera in those areas that are closer to the overexposed side. So when you have a sky or something like this that appears to be a little bit overexposed, work with the image in Photoshop. You can pull out a lot more detail than that. Also, the way that this comes to the end here and stops so close to that edge, I just don't think that looks right for the balance of it. I also found a spot someplace in this image. I can't remember exactly where it was, but there's a spot in here that that was bugging me. I think it was down here someplace. I could see it on my monitor. But those little spots can be easily removed. So with that being said, composition 4, impact 4, technical 3.
Mysterious Rock Lake by David Jensen, total 11 points. Never a Dry Eye.
Okay, so on this image, I'm going to say the same thing about this one I said about the last one, and that is we need more depth of field here. Other than that, I think that the composition was great. So I went composition 5, impact 5, and technical 4.
Never a Dry Eye by Alicia Perrier, total of 14 points. $180.
Okay. I got 2 words to say about this. Crop it. This is a panoramic image that is unfinished, and I did not give it a score because I didn't think it would be fair for me to crop it because it's not my image. So I didn't give it a score, but I'd like to see it cropped and then scored. You could send it into the F5.3 site, and they would score this image for you and judge it. If you don't know how to use the software to crop the image, talk to me or somebody that knows how. If you intentionally left it this way, please tell me, come back afterwards and tell me why you left this panel image this way. I would like to know if there was a reason behind it. Maybe there was something going on here that I don't get, or maybe you didn't know that you should crop a panel image. Maybe you don't know that. If you don't, then the idea is that when you shoot a panel image like these and stitch them together, you are going to have wasted pixels. It cannot be avoided, okay? So you just have to accept that as a fact of photography life. So you're gonna have to take your crop tool and go in here, and you're gonna have to crop some of this out. Regardless of how much you're in love with it, you need to get this back rectangular form. Now, I have in the past said, man, I want to keep this right through here, but then I lose it. I just go in here with content aware and start playing with it, and you can fix a lot of this stuff on the edges and whatnot, okay? So let's just go to the next image. I'm not going to score this one tonight.
Not a problem. One-eyed wonder.
Okay, so when I saw this image, I just went, wow. This is a beautiful image. What can I say? I looked at it and I said, Dean, what would you do to improve this? And my little voice answered back to me and said, 5, 5, 5. I said, okay, that's the improvement we'll make. Need I say more?
One-eyed wonder by Alicia Perrier, total of 15 points.
I love this image, Alicia. I didn't know who shot it, but that is awesome. That is awesome.
Photo finish.
Photo finish. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. The photo finish. The only thing I would say about this image that could make some kind of improvement, let me know afterwards if you used a polarizer or not on this image. Using a polarizer, you can eliminate a lot of reflections or minimize a lot of reflections that are on these, or when you shoot through a window. There's a lot of places. Polarizers don't have to be used just outdoors for scenic images. Polarizers can be used for street photography. This type of image here might benefit from the use of a polarizer, and maybe a little bit angle, come over here like this and get this stuff out of the street out of there maybe, I don't know. But all in all, good image of the carousel down there. I'm assuming this is in Spokane, and I like the image. I've shot several times at the carousel, and I still haven't got any images I liked from it. I deleted them all so far. And I shot a bunch there. Someday I'll go back and I'll try again. So I applaud this person because I think they did a good job, and I gave them a pretty good score here because of that. Composition 5, impact 4, and technical 4.
Photo finish by Paul DeRocker, total of 13 points. Dean, before we move on, I'll bet money there are people in here who are going, what's a polarizer?
Oh, well, that could be. A polarizer, some people think it's old school and they don't need them anymore, but that's not true. A polarizer it can be square. There's two different systems. There's one that you can mount something to your lens and this square piece of glass goes in it, and that glass is specifically made for doing alignment of light particles. Let me just say it. That's the best way I can say it. And you also have round ones that can screw right into your lens, and then you can adjust them, okay? And as you look through it, like you look at the sky and turn it, you can see the blue in your sky turning different tonal blues. And you can nail the blue that you want. And polarizers have a tendency to bring out color in vegetation and reduce reflections that are on water. And the only negative thing about using a polarizer is the angle of light that you're dealing with, because the angle of light always needs to be somewhere around 90 degrees away from your lens face. So what that means is that when I'm shooting straight ahead and I put a polarizer on, the sun should be above me in a circle like this, or to my side, somewhere close to that. Because you'll notice when you use a polarizer, if the sun goes to your back, it has no effect. So it does have limitations, but I have at least 2 polarizers with me all the time. And sometimes I use them together because a polarizer, you lose a stop, or maybe even 2. So when I'm shooting waterfall images, sometimes the light is just too much for the ISO speed I want to use. And so I'll just throw another polarizer on. And that gives me another stop. And that gives me that 1 second or quarter second or whatever it is I want to shoot that waterfall image. The other negative thing about a polarizer is if you have a really super, super wide angle lens, like my 16 to 35 full frame, when I screw a polarizer on, even though I got a special polarizer that's very thin, it still does vignetting on the edges when you're all the way out. So polarizers are good. You should have one in your bag so that you could possibly make some corrections on something like this. Hopefully that was a little training session that maybe helped somebody today.
Prickled icicles.
Okay. In the Northwest, we get to shoot a lot of icicle images if we want to. And I've done quite a few myself. This one, let's see, where's my notes at? Oh, yes. I would like to see more detail of that hoarfrost on those icicles. And the only way that you're going to get that is to get closer. So I'd like to see maybe go into an area like this right here and get closer to that so we can see more of these icicles in there. These little crystals that are sticking out, okay? And I understand icicle images are not easy to shoot, especially when it gets these little chunks of frost. The other thing about this image that needs improvement in my mind are these lines here that are in the background. So it needs a strong background, like blue sky or something like that, something that's plain, not so that it's not distracting me from the subject, which is icicles. Composition 4, impact 3, technical 4.
Prickled icicles by Cindy Macion, total 11 points. Rosie Flyby.
Yep, I can see it here too. Just wanted to make sure that I'm not, you can probably see it yourself. This is a beautiful image, but there's a couple things about it. What I think is going on here, and correct me if I'm wrong, person, whoever shot this, is that this was a bigger image and you had to crop in a lot to get this because there's a lot of noise in this image. All throughout these areas is full of noise. I don't know if you tried noise reduction software in Photoshop or some other software to try to get rid of it, but you should. And also there's a strange softness on the inside of this wing that I didn't understand why that is there. Other than that, I have for years been trying to find some owls someplace where I could go shoot owls, and I have never been able to track those guys down, at least not in any neighborhoods that I'm in, so I'm kind of jealous there. So Rosie Flyby, I gave a composition 5, impact 4, and technical 2.
Rosie Flyby by Evelyn Jorgensen, total of 11 points. Scottish Lighthouse.
We have great depth of field in this image. You can see from front to back, we have great sharpness in here. It looks really good. Placement is good for that part of the composition. The only thing that bothered me when I first looked at this image is that there's not enough water in the foreground. I want to see more water in the foreground. Again, go vertical if you have to try to balance this image out a little bit more if you can by giving me some more water to look at, a little bit more in the foreground. Love the animals in here. This is a great image. This must have been fun being here. Look at the clouds, the snow, and the peaks. This is awesome. This is great stuff. Composition 4, impact 4, technical 5.
Scottish Lighthouse by Paul DeRocker, total 13 points. Serenity, and I have no idea if those numbers go with it or not, so I'm just going to say Serenity.
Okay. Got dark in here. This image is moody. It's thoughtful. It's borders serene, calmness. The only thing that bothered me about the image was, and it bothered me quite a bit, because I think it destroys the image pretty much, is that there is just a tiny bit of detail in here. It's like, okay, either show me the detail or completely get rid of it. Because our attention goes to two things in this image when we first look at it. Number one is this cross up here with that beautiful stained glass work and the sunlight shining in on these pews. But as I looked at the image, I realized, well, there's something in here, like an altar or something. I either want to see it or I don't want to see it. So either bring out the details or get rid of those details. So I gave it across the board a 3, 3, and 3.
Serenity by Chris Heitzman, total of 9 points. Smiling in the Face of Poverty.
This is another great image. I don't know why underscores get in on some of these, and it's a long title, but I can't judge that stuff. They told me not to. They slapped my hand.
Slap.
Yeah. Anyway, great image. In this image, there is one improvement that I would love to see, and maybe you have more pictures of this woman. My, oh my, oh my, I hope you were on rapid fire when you were shooting this, and you got a lot of images. I want to see this woman's hands, because hands tell a story more than anything else about a person. When you look at their hands, do you think she has really soft and beautiful hands?
No.
But she might, because you can't see them.
That's right.
Is she missing a finger? Does she have 2 hands? See, I want to see this. I want to see the story. Does she have long fingernails? Does she have arthritis? What's going on with those hands? Tell a huge story with images. So I would love to see included. Besides that, you nailed this image, whoever you are. You nailed it really well. And so I gave it a composition of 4, impact 5, technical 5.
Smiling in the Face of Poverty, Jenny Brown, 14 points. Sweet Caress.
Well, when I saw this image, I know who shot the image, so I couldn't judge it. So you go ahead and look at it, enjoy it here for a second or two. I couldn't give it a score because I know who the photographer is, and it wouldn't be fair to me to judge an image of somebody that I know who it is. So,
Well, I hope they don't mind a comment. I think it's stunning.
I agree.
So who shot it?
Was that Mark?
Yeah, it kind of was.
Sweet Caress, Mark Anthony.
I've seen this image before, Mark.
Here we go. Up the Zip Line.
This was good. This was creative. I love you, whoever did this. I don't know how you caught the ladybug there at the right time and moment, but this is awesome. It was great. The only thing about it is it's a little soft when you look at it close. But other than that, it's a great image. So I gave it a composition 5, impact 4, and technical 4.
Up the Zip Line. It's very tack sharp. Decoy, 13 points. Something wrong with your monitor, Dean.
I think you're getting old,
Who
Dean.
are you going to call? Gumbusters.
it's a good thing that we can have fun when we're critiquing images, because otherwise I wouldn't do it. Okay. I found that this blurred item in the foreground needed to be cropped out. That needs to go away. So crop this across here or here someplace to get rid of that blurred edge there. And there's something back here that I don't understand, maybe the maker could explain to me, that I found very distracting, because there's a lot of detail. When you get an image that has a lot of details in like this, you are forced as a judge, or maybe a discriminating artist, art connoisseur, to go through the image and start looking at all the details, because there are so many details. It's not one of those ones you just sit back and just say, oh, mountain, oh, river. So with all the details in it, I had to go and look at all the details. And when I came back here, I thought, what in the world is sticking out of the hood of that emergency vehicle? What is that? It looks like, I don't know what it is.
It's on the ground behind it.
Well, it looks like it comes into the roof
It's the water.
of the
Water
vehicle.
running underneath it.
Well, maybe it is, but look close. When you look close at it, it looks like it comes out of the top of the vehicle. Anyway, I couldn't figure out what it was. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is the water. Bird item foreground. I gave this composition 4, impact 4, technical 3.
Who are you going to call? Gumbusters, great title. Patty Hoy, 11 points. Yearning to be free.
Well, I could guess who shot this, but I won't. And I said, you know, anybody can shoot this woman. So this is a beautiful image with the butterflies and stuff. It's very creative and stuff. The only picayune thing that I found about it that I could pick on, which I think is actually probably one of the most important things, is that I am not seeing where is this laser at? I'm not seeing the eye the way that I think I should be able to see it. I think I should be able to see some pupil. There's something in the way here. I'd like to see more eye in this image so that I get some idea of the emotion that the person has. Is there any tears in there? Looking way up, way down? I mean, I don't know. Are they looking left or right? When you hide an eye like that, it kind of, as we know from shooting images of people and animals, that it becomes one of the most important parts of a portrait. Yearning to be free. I love the exposure and the lighting and the setup of this. I think it was done very nicely. Composition 4, impact 5, technical 5.
Yearning to be free by Mark Anthony, total of 14 points.
Okay, don't beat me up too much, people.
That's the last one. Please give a warm welcome to Dean Huggins for doing this. Our next meeting will be April 7th. That's the first Thursday in April. And the subject is mood lighting.